मैंने बोला नहीं नहीं, जो तुम्हारा टाइम है हम उसी टाइम पे काम करेंगे। ऐसा अच्छा निखिल तो हर चीज़ पे हाँ हाँ बोले जा रहा है, मुझे मौका ही नहीं दे रहा है कि मैं ना बोल सकूं। तो फिर मैंने बोला अच्छा ठीक है, पर तुम मुझे मेरे पति की तरह प्यार दे पाओगे? तो निखिल ने बोला मैं तो कुछ कुछ होता है के टाइम से प्यार करता हूँ। तो बोला ठीक है, तो वो भी ठीक है।
तब से भी झेलते ही आ रहे हैं।
तो फिर on a more serious note, I think Nikhil has always stood for quality, like what films that he's produced till now. I think he has a very good reputation in the industry, that he takes up films which, you know, make a difference. And he takes films which have a very hard-hitting subject. And he's not, like he's quite fearless in terms of being a producer. Sometimes you can get into a lot of trouble working in films that are slightly controversial. But Nikhil, I've seen, has never shied away from producing films like that. And I knew that technically he's going to be fantastic. So obviously the way he'll make the film will have a certain quality, it'll have a taste. So for me it was a no-brainer completely. And then of course Nikhil said that the director is Ashima. Ashima is somebody who I've seen in YRF for so many, already had a lot of respect for her. As a mother, as a girl, as a person who's trying to make it on her own in the city. And when I spoke with Ashima, I realized that she's very, very passionate about the story, because she's spoken to Sagarika, she has done so many calls with her, she was very involved with the subject. So I think when a director is so passionate about a story, I think that love translates into the film. So for me, I think it was just that Nikhil, I've known because he was there from the first time I met you, Karan. So for me, it was just an extension of, I would say, Dharma and Yashraj. So MA is actually just an extension, and that is what he promised me before I started the film. He says, Rani, I've been under Karan, I've been under Adi, I've worked with them, so you won't feel a difference. And you're right.
In fact, Nikhil, my next question is to you, because true life stories are always so empowering and inspiring. And MA Entertainment has now raised the bar in terms of content and has put out such prolific content and such strong, unusual, diverse content, not only in the theatrical space but also in the digital domain. How did this story of Sagarika Chakrabarti reach your table?
I don't know, Karan. I think that after having gone through a huge journey of what I wanted to do myself and what my voice should be as a filmmaker, right? Having learned under you, having learned under Adi, trying Salamesh and trying Patiala House, and then basically when D-Day, I remember when I showed D-Day, remember you were the first person outside the team that made D-Day who saw it, and I remember your words to me was that all your red lines have now been wiped out with this film. So I think that it's important for when we are a company like MA to gravitate towards what it believes, right?
Huh?
Yeah.
What?
I have not yet met Sagarika.
You've never met Sagarika?
No, I've never met Sagarika.
This is a shock to me, literally.
Yeah, so I've never met
And never
Sagarika.
spoken to her?
No, I've not spoken to her.
You've not spoken to her, you've not met her?
No. Because I think as an actor, what I wanted to bring to the table is something that I thought would be my interpretation of Mrs. Chatterjee's character. I didn't want too much of a baggage, because she's very much there. So I didn't want people to find similarities or say that this is similar, that is similar. For me, the story of Mrs. Chatterjee was about Mrs. Chatterjee, and I had to play it not knowing that this has actually happened. I had to play it cinematically for this film. I knew the emotions she went through because I sat with Ashima, I think 1,000,000 times over the script, and I went through it with her and what her emotions were, in terms of what Sagarika's emotions were. Ashima had a lot of tapes that she had recorded of Sagarika chatting with her, so I went through a lot of those tapes, where I started to understand and I grabbed what her emotions are. Because that was what was very important for me for the character, that I need to understand her emotional graph because of what she's actually been through. Because it was a struggle, it was frustration, it was anger, it was the loneliness, it was the mother's love, it was so many things. So I wanted to know what headspace was Sagarika in during that period, and what is she today? And what has this journey of this fight made Sagarika into today? So I went through that. But when it actually came to performing and becoming the character, the only person that came to my mind was my mom. And I have no qualms to say it, that I have just taken my mother and put her into Mrs. Chatterjee. Because my mom is raised...
I saw that. That's why
You
I
saw
asked
that?
you. I saw that. I was like, this is Krishna auntie, like she's portraying her mother.
So actually for me, someone who is so connected to her roots, there is nobody else that I know more than my mother. My mother got married to my dad 50 years ago, and she came to Bombay. She's born and brought up in Calcutta. She got married when she was 21. But she is such a Bengali in her, the way she is as a person, the way she eats, the way she talks. Even when after 50 years of being in Bombay, when she speaks in Hindi, she sounds like a Bengali. When she speaks in English, she sounds like a Bengali. So I think if you're once a Bengali in West Bengal, born and brought up in West Bengal, you'll always be that. And whenever you speak to anybody from Calcutta, West Bengal, you'll see them having a flair of that Bengali accent, which never leaves them. And I think that is spectacular for me, because my mom, living in Bombay, has not been able to leave her roots like away. You know, she's still very connected to her roots. And whatever impression I had of my mom growing up, the way she is, Bengali tigress, the way she has fed us with her hands, you know, the way she used to talk to us, the way she has given us love. I think it was, when I read the character of Mrs. Chatterjee, for me it was all along like my mother. Like I was imagining my mother, what would happen if somebody would have taken Raja and me away from her. And I could imagine my mom going completely nuts.
You know, it takes me back to the moment when I saw the film and I was so shaken and moved and triumphant, of course, in the end. I have I have twins at home and I'm a single parent. I say, you know, whenever my children are looking very pretty, I say, kala tika laga do.
Yes.
My daughter has a habit sometimes that she doesn't eat and I have to make her physically
Feed her.
eat with my hands.
Yeah.
We say Saturday ko nazar utaro. It's embedded in our culture. And when I saw the film and I reached home, and Yash and Ruhi was standing there, and I just had tears in my eyes looking at them, because I'd just seen Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway, and I went like, what if one day somebody just comes और मेरे बच्चे को घर से ले जाए? क्योंकि हमारी tradition, हमारी inherent culture, हमारी parenting instinct जो है, उनकी वजह से कोई अगर हमारे बच्चों को ले जाए, and it takes me to my favorite. I think this is your best performance to date. I have to say it on record. It is your best performance to date. And I hope the world notices what I have. And I'm sure the world will on the 17th of March. That moment when it's decided in court कि आप तभी मिल पाओगे अपने बच्चों जब वो 18 साल की हो जाए. The way you react in that moment, it's like it took me back to a moment, a YRF film called Mashal, where Dilip Kumar bangs on the taxi and says, you know, like, stop. He needs a car because of his wife who's dying. That time, that scene had given me gooseflesh. And the second time, in my cinematic memory, where I got gooseflesh, is when I saw your reaction, where literally you were sliding, your feet were sliding on the floor while they're trying to hold you back. What was the prep, or did you just go with your gut in that moment, taking and internalizing the circumstance?
I think for me, Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway is a very, very personal film in that sense, because I think every parent, every mother, every father, every person who has a mother will connect with this story, like it hits you in your gut. Like for me to bring about Sagarika's emotions in the film, what she must have been through, was a huge responsibility. that I wanted to portray the pain that this mother is feeling. I wanted everybody in the audience to feel that pain, to feel that sense of loss. Because if I as a mother had to put myself in that place, I don't think I had the courage to even think that. Like if I had to put myself in that place of Sagarika, I don't think I can even fathom that idea of like Adira being away from me. Like I can't fathom it.
Who actually exists in flesh and blood? What did he
So
say?
he was actually quite shocked seeing the film, and he was very deeply moved, which I don't think I've seen him so moved in any film. The last I think I saw him that moved was when Yash uncle passed away. Yeah, when he saw the film, I think he was like, because he's a parent today, so obviously it will, like it hit,
Yeah.
like, and then he was very sweet. He just behaved like he didn't even give me like a front hug. He gave me like a side hug as if I'm his child. And he said, "Well done." So I was like, "Okay, thank you." So
Well,
it was-
that's more than Adi normally expresses, I want to say. At least you got a side hug.
Yeah, I got like a side hug, like as if he's hugging maybe one of his so many children that are there in YRF, who is grooming.
I'm too waiting for that side hug when he says well done. It hasn't arrived in the last 30 years.
So yeah, so it was quite a moment because yeah, Adi's very like he praises me behind my back. I think if he praises me in front of my back, he'll just think कि मेरे घर की लक्ष्मी मेरे सर पे डांस करने लगेगी. He tries to avoid that situation. He says ज़्यादा नहीं बोलूँगा तो better है. But I think he couldn't stop himself. But I think he was really really moved to my shock. Like I didn't realize that he would get so moved seeing the film.
Well, shocked and moved takes me to the surprise that I have for you.
Karan, there's one more thing I'd like to say.
Yes.
Since I'm talking to everybody here and the entire media is here, I would really like to say that the shoot of Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway happened in very, very trying times, as we discussed during COVID. And I want to say that the team in Estonia were really, really so well organized, the team there that we shot in. The entire shoot happened so well. So MA Films, Z Films, and of course Cuba Films, three of them, because it was, the shoot was supposed to be happening in a bubble, and it was the first time that I ever worked like that, apart from the shoot that I did for Bunty Bubbly 2, just few months back. But this was about an entire film that we're shooting outside the country. But it just went off so well. It's one of my most memorable shoots, because obviously my daughter was with me. She was doing homeschooling there because it was homeschooling. So whatever happens with Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway on 17th of March, regardless of what the outcome is, I would like to say that it's going to be one of my most memorable films in my career for more reasons than one. So thank you very much for bringing this experience to me, and thank you Ashima for thinking for me for Mrs. Chatterjee, and thank you Nikhil for thinking that I would do it in spite of being bogged down by the rumors that I don't do outside films. Thank God you called.
I remember I finally sent her a message that Rani, I just finished watching the DI and it's without sound and I'm still crying. And she messaged me back, who is this? Because she said that till today you are exactly like Adi, you have never ever said good. How you're doing, you're so good, you're so... I just sent a random message. Who is this?
You don't have Nikhil's number fed in your phone?
No, I have, but I was not believing that it's Nikhil's message. I thought somebody's doing a prank. I thought his daughter or somebody must have taken the phone and just written some random message to see my reaction.
Well, I mean, I can assure everyone in the audiences that
No, I just hope.
आपको बहुत तहे दिल से हम शुक्रिया भी करना चाहते हैं और आपको सम्मानित भी करते हैं और आपको ये कहना चाहते हैं कि ऐसी माँ हर किसी बेटे को जन्म।
Thank you, Karan sir.
और मैं रानी से आखिर में ये कहना चाहूँगा कि रानी ने जिस तरह इस किरदार को दर्शाया है, निभाया है, बहुत कम एक्टर्स होते हैं जो आँखों से, दिल से, अपने पूरे जिस्म को उस परफॉर्मेंस में डाल देते हैं। और रानी जो you have done, you've just blew my mind as a filmmaker. I would like to take this moment, this very, very special moment, to speak about the power of storytelling and content creation. And we spoke about how MA has maxed that to perfection with what they've done. I'd like to take a moment to talk about an illustrious studio, Z Studios, that is doing such incredible work in the zone of entertainment. To speak about our very, very talented and exceptional Ashim Achiba, who has actually told the story with so much beauty and nuance. So the two powerhouses of MA, I won't say three because Nikhil also knows the real powerhouses lies in the two ladies, Madhu Bhojwani and Monisha Advani. I'd like them to be on stage with us, please. I'd like to call the exceptional filmmaker Ashim Achiba on stage. And I'd like to call the man with the vision himself, Sharik Patel, CBO, Z Studios, for our final photo op for Mrs. Chatterjee.
जब छोटे थे मैं कुछ कुछ होता है देखा था, तो रानी नाम कुछ कुछ होता है या गुलाम क्लास 10 में पढ़ते थे, क्लास 10 में सेम एज का है, थोड़ा 4 साल का इधर उधर है। मैं 40 अभी 40 इयर्स का मदर हूँ। तो वही मैं बोलना चाहती हूँ,
ये बोलना जरूरी था
ना बोलना जरूरी है।
इतनी आपकी तारीफ कर लिया, फिर देखो आपने हमारी उम्र का आईना हमें दिखा दिया।
हाँ थोड़ा बोलना चाहिए क्योंकि